Today in this session we are going to discuss about advantages of using the DBMS approach. The DBMS has a number of advantages as compared to traditional computer file processing approach. We know all these things. So the major advantages of DBMS are described. The first one is controlling data redundancy. So what is known as redundancy and how to control the redundancy we'll see. Usually in non-database systems, that means traditional computer file processing, each application program has its own files. In this case, say the duplicated copy of the same data are created at many places. In DBMS, all the data of an organization is integrated into a single database. The data is recorded at only one place in the database and it is not duplicated. We'll take one example here. In file processing, we know that in the college itself, all teachers are having the information about the student and that is one file. Say for example, in the examination section also they are having the student information, and in the say for example account section also they are having the student information. Okay, and in scholarship section also they are having the student information. See here in the file system they are saving the same data multiple times. This is called as redundancy. That means nothing but duplication of data. The duplication of data always leads to inconsistency. Whereas in database approach, in DBMS approach, we are saving the data at the central location, at the single location, central location. See here, this is the student information. We are saving the data, student information in the database at the single location or central location in one place, and many of them can access the data at by the same location itself. So redundancy refers to repeated instance of the same data. A database system provides redundancy control, whereas in file system same data may be stored multiple times. Adanna nodidna naveega. See for example, one more example, if a student is studying two different educational programs in the same college, the engineering and history, then his information such as the phone number, address may be stored multiple times, once in engineering department and other in the history department. Therefore, it increases time taken to access and store the data. So memory is wasting. This may also lead to inconsistency, and also there is a wastage of memory by saving the same data multiple times. This is one advantages of the database management system. So ಒಂದೇ place ಅಲ್ಲಿ see duplication data ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ. So wastage of memory ಇರಲ್ಲ ಮತ್ತೆ inconsistency ಇರಲ್ಲ. Because inconsistency ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಸೆಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಡೇಟಾ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಆದರ್ಶ್ ಅಂತ ಒಬ್ಬನ ಹೆಸರಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಒಂದು ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಎ ಅಂತ ಆಕ್ಚುಯಲ್ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಎ ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇನ್ ದ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ ಎರೋನಿಯಸ್ಲಿ ದೇ ಮೈಟ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಡಿ ಅಂತ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್, ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ನೇಮ್ದು ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಡಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಇನ್ಕನ್ಸಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸಿ ಆರ್ ಇನ್ಆಕ್ಯುರೇಸಿ ಅಂತ ಕರಿಬಹುದು. So redundancy ಅಂದ್ರೆ duplication of data leads to wastage of memory as well as inconsistency of data. There is no accuracy in the data. So to avoid these things, the DBMS is providing a database concept, that is we are saving the data at the single location. So ಯಾವ ಬ್ರಾಂಚ್ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ವ್ಯೂಯರ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕಾದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಯೂಸರ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕಾದರೂ ಆ ಸೇಮ್ ಡೇಟಾ ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಏನೇ ಬೇಕಾದರೂ ಅವರು ಸೇಮ್ ಲೊಕೇಶನ್ ಇಂದನೇ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ದ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ ಟು ದಿಸ್ ಡೇಟಾ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕಲಿ ರಿಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಟು ದ ಆಲ್ ದ ಯೂಸರ್ಸ್. ಸಿ ಫಿನಾನ್ಸ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ಸ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಆಲ್ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಸ್ಕಾಲರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, everyone is accessing the data from the same location, so that whatever the changes occurring for this data, automatically it will reflect it to the all the users. ಆದರ್ಶ್ ಎ ಅಂತಿದ್ದು ಅವನು ಏನಾದರೂ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆದರ್ಶ್ ಡಿ ಅಂತ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಯಿತು ಅಥವಾ ಡಿ ಇರೋದು ಎ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂದರು, ಎವ್ರಿ ಒನ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಿ ದ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಡೇಟಾ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲಿಂಗ್ ರಿಡೆಂಡೆನ್ಸಿ. The second, these are the different advantages if you are maintaining the redundancy. There is no duplication of data, there is no wastage of memory, and there is no inconsistency of data. Next is restricting unauthorized access to data. So automatically it won't allow all the user to access the data. It automatically gives some security for the data so that only authorized persons can access the data. So next is providing persistent storage for program objects anta ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಹಿಂಗಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, see for example in the data, see complicated data are stored in the form of objects. It is very difficult to store those kind of objects in the file system, whereas database management system is providing an opportunity to store the same data or objects easily in the database itself. Say usually in traditional file systems, we know that we cannot store data in the form of objects, and again in practical world application also data is stored in objects and not in the form of files. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಈ ಅಮೆಜಾನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ತಿರ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಸೊ ಆಲ್ ದೋಸ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಡೇಟಾಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದ in the form of objects itself. So in a file system, some application software maps the data stored in files to objects, so that can be used further, but we can directly store data we cannot store data in the form of objects in the file system, whereas in the database management system we can directly store data in the form of objects. So this is one more advantages, that is providing persistent storage for program objects. The first advantage in nodidvi controlling redundancy, and there is no duplication of data, multiple storage of data agalla. DBMS alli data is stored in the single location or centralized location anta karibodu. But the second one is restricting unauthorized access to data, and it won't allow everyone to access the data. And again third is providing persistent storage for program objects, andre it is capable of storing the objects in the database directly. Next is providing backup and recovery. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಏನಾದರೂ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಪವರ್ ಫೇಲ್ಯೂರ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂದರೆ, ಸೊ ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಬ್ಯಾಕಪ್ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಫ್ರಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೂಮೆಂಟ್ವರೆಗೂ ಏನು ನೀವು ಡೇಟಾ transactions ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀರೋ, all those transactions has been backed up, and also it is very easy to recover the lost data also. So there is a provision of backup and recovery facility in the database management approach. And also it is providing multiple user interfaces, that means different kind of users can access the database at the same time. ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದ್ವಲ್ಲ, ಈಗ ಕ್ಯಾಶುವಲ್ ಎಂಡ್ ಯೂಸರ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಕ್ಲರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಡೇಟಾಬೇಸ್ನ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ ಹೈ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಡೇಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಯೂಸರ್ಸ್ ಕೆನ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ದ ಡೇಟಾಬೇಸ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎನ್ಫೋರ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಟಿಗ್ರಿಟಿ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಂಟ್ಸ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎನ್ಫೋರ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಟಿಗ್ರಿಟಿ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ, for example we can implement some rules before creating the database itself. Say for example employee table antane tagolona, employee number, employee name anta tagolona, matte salary anta tagolona, and in which department he is working. So we'll take department number as an example. This is one employee table. Say for example ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯಿ ನಂಬರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ನಾನು ಇದನ್ನ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಕೀ ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಆ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ವಾಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಕೀ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಯುನೀಕ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದ ನಾಟ್ ನಲ್. This is one kind of constraint I am applying for the employee number column, because unique andre no two employee should have the same employee number. Say for example E001 is the employee number for the first employee and E0002 is the employee number 2 for the second employee. We cannot enter the 01 as the number for second employee. It won't allow, because it should be unique. So in the here no two employees can have the same employee numbers. Similarly, employee name andre I can mention it as a character. If I do it as a character, see, this should be in the form of character itself. So salary should be in the form of number itself. It should not be some character. See, similarly, I can give some constraints or rules while creating the table or the structure of the table. This is called as enforcing integrity constraints. So additional implications, if I go here, we can reduce the application development time, and it is very much flexible, and we can easily see the availability of up-to-date information, and it is very cheap compared to the file system. See, for example, in the different history of history of database applications we'll consider. In the early database applications, they were using hierarchical and network systems. So in the hierarchical systems, the data is stored in the form of trees, one parent node and the child node, and again this will become the parent, and these are the two child nodes. Like this, the data is stored in the form of tree-like structure. In the network systems, the data is stored in the form of records. Records are a collection of fields. The data is stored in the form of records in case of networking system. In the hierarchical system, the data is stored in the form of tree-like structure. Next is providing data abstraction and application flexibility with relational database. Then the history moves towards storing of data in the form of tables. Afterwards, first they were storing in the form of hierarchical model, that is tree-like structure, and then they are storing the data in the form of records, and then in the relational database they are storing the data in the form of tables. Now ಇಷ್ಟೊತ್ತು ಏನು ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ ಟೇಬಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಸಿ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯಿ ಡೇಟಾ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ರೋಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಕಾಲಮ್ಸ್ ಫಾರಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡೇಟಾ ಸೇವ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಫ್ tables. Next is object oriented application. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ the data is also stored in the form of objects. ಈಗ ಬರೀ ಡೇಟಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಡೇಟಾ ಮಾತ್ರನೇ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ in the object relational ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, object is also stored in the form of in the database. Objects complicated ಈಗ data types ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ, all those data in the form of objects, data is also stored in the database. So these objects are useful in e-commerce. See, for example, Amazon, Flipkart alla data is stored in the form of objects ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. So next future current day applications andre the database management system can be used in scientific applications, image storage for processing the images, and also audio video data management, data mining. We are also saving the data DBMS in data mining area, and spatial data management. Say for example, weather forecasting data ಏನಾದರೂ ನಾವು ಸೇವ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ we can go for spatial data management. And again, historical data management, we can save any kind of historical data. And ERP data is also we can save nowadays. ERP andre enterprise resource planning data. See for example, sales order system irbodu, purchase order system data ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. So all those kind of data is also stored inside the database. So DBMS is most helpful for handling all this kind of data. So then when we are not supposed to use the DBMS, ಯಾವಾಗ ನಾವು DBMS ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, when the application is very simple ಆಗಿದ್ದಾಗ it is not suggested to use the DBMS, because it is very simple application ಇದ್ದಾಗ ನಾವು ಈಗ ಡೇಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒರಾಕಲ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಡ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನೋ ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಗೋ ಫಾರ್ DBMS. and if DBMS ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಟ್ರೈನರ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಮೋರ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಫಾರ್ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ದ ಪೀಪಲ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಎಂಬೆಡೆಡ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ it is the limited storage capacity, and ಟೈಮಲ್ಲೂ there is no recommendation for DBMS. ಸೊ ಇಂಥ ಮತ್ತೆ ಯಾವಾಗಲಾದರೂ ನಮಗೆ ಮಲ್ಟಿ ಯೂಸರ್ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಇಲ್ದಿರ ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ಯೂಸರ್ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂದರೆ there is no need to use the DBMS, because the application is very simple. But DBMS software cost is very high compared to these things of applications. During that time there is no need of using the DBMS. The only thing is overhead cost andre DBMS software cost itself is high, and it is very high investment. Initial investment is more compared to file system. So and again, more than that, we have to do concurrency control, recovery, security, everything will be there for the DBMS. If the application is simple andre ishtellanu ನಾವು bear ಮಾಡೋದು necessity ಇರಲ್ಲ. ಅಂತ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ there is no need of using the DBMS.